Is debt standing between you and living your vocation? We're going to talk about it in today's episode of the WalletWin podcast. I was checking the news today on my Wall Street Journal app, and I was clicking across...
What were those eyes?
Out of my fancy pants.
Is the Wall Street Journal fancy pants?
Fancier than me, I think. If it has a mansion section every Thursday, I think it's fancier than me. Yes. So I was going around the buttons across the bottom, and then I hit the bookmarks section by accident, and then I saw one of the articles I had bookmarked a little while ago to share with you, and it's called "When Student Debt Stands in the Way of Religious Poverty." And it was talking about, all these folks who cannot enter religious life because they have debt, most of it student loan debt. And just...
They can't take a vow of poverty because they need to work to get money to pay back money.
They don't have enough money to say they want to be poor.
To live poverty. The irony.
Oh, you want to have no money? You're going to need some money.
Which, that article, good on you, Wall Street Journal, for running that article, because I think it's a massively important conversation to have, not only about religious vocations, but about all of our vocations, whether you're called to singleness and consecrated life, or you're called to marriage. We are watching debt literally strangle the life out of vocations all around us. And even people that enter into the vocations and they're raising a family, strangling the life of that family. And essentially just becoming a wedge between people being able to say yes freely and generously to God's will in their life. Yeah,
we even point out a little bit in our book that we found this study. It said a third of millennials have delayed having kids because of their debt.
And the stats were, I think, even higher for homes and...
Oh, yeah, homes, or for getting married, or all the other things.
Yeah, people are literally putting their lives and their dreams and their deepest desires on hold because of financial stress caused by debt.
I can understand it. I remember back in our day...
10 years ago.
We got married.
Yeah.
We tallied up the numbers, and we had almost as much debt as we made in a year.
$25,000 in debt with a take-home pay after taxes of about $35,000. And
I just thought, what are we going to do? How is this ever going to get better? When I graduated, there's this little, not a coupon book, but kind of, you'd tear off a little thing and it told you how much to pay and send in. It's like,
oh, the income.
Where did it go?
The income-based repayment plans are criminal. So many people, I see it in different Facebook groups I'm in, and even in our own community. WalletWinners. People got on the income-based repayment plan, and they just sent in the $97.27 every month, whatever it was. And then they log in 6 years later, and the balance is the same as when they left college.
Or more.
Or more sometimes.
They owe more.
And so the injustice of it, it's alarming at what is going on here. And, these people, do they validly owe it? They signed up for it? Yes. There's, deeper conversations that could be had there to the level of culpability of their understanding, awareness. Should they have ever been offered it in the first place? What is the level of responsibility on the offering party? All those are bigger conversations here. But at the end of the day, we've got a generation of people literally defined by their debt load and not being able to say yes to the things that they feel called to do because it's standing in the way of that.
Yeah.
And I remember for us, we had that moment, and I thank God for it, that awareness moment of realizing we could essentially, our income was very small. We could pay our bills and have a teeny amount of, enjoyment in our life, a relatively, really very small amount of entertainment and whatever, and then essentially just pay our debt according to the plan that they gave us. They told us the payments. It would take years to get paid off, and we would have had some mediocre memories in the meantime.
Yeah.
But who knows what was going to happen in our life in the next couple of years. So we essentially looked at the situation and had the awareness to say, great, we could have a mediocre 5 to 7 years ahead of us. And, if something catastrophic comes our way, the mediocrity could drag out for a decade because we don't know what's going to happen.
Or those income-based payment plans stretch out for decades. It's like you pay this much, and if everything went just right and you never missed anything, well, then after 20 or 25 years, then maybe we'll just call it good.
Right, when you've paid double or triple what you actually owed in the beginning. So anyway, that we realized quickly that could be our life if we decided to keep debt as the third wheel in our paychecks.
In our marriage, yeah.
Essentially. Or we could get locked, loaded, buckle down, and take care of this thing. Treat it like a game, so it's actually a fun activity that unites us. Mm-hmm. Find ways to still have joy and fun and hospitality and memories in our life that don't cost a lot, but aim at that debt like nothing else to eliminate it as quickly as possible. And we did just that. Mm-hmm. Not only did we work on raising our, fundraising a little bit of a higher income and selling things to kind of earn more, but we were able to then pay off all $25,000 of that debt in 7.5 months' time. And on the Feast of the Assumption, August 15th, 2012, we became debt-free.
Yeah.
And celebrated that milestone. Mm-hmm. And by condensing that time of, you could look at it as pain. We validly said no to things that we may have wanted to say yes to so that we could target the debt and get it out of our life. Mm-hmm. But it was a very short time frame. I kind of liken it to, an Olympic athlete training. They're going to have seasons of harder training than others. You can't stay in grueling training mode forever. But you aren't going to perform well at the Olympics unless you have a grueling training period, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of times people want to kind of do the middle way of like, I'll pay some debt, but I'll still have the lifestyle I want. But then they drag it out for years and they tire and then they never get the debt paid off. And I think there was really some wisdom in making it that sprint, in going all out, in minimizing the painful window so that we could get to our money actually working for, our dreams, our hopes, God's call in our life sooner than later. We'd like to invite you to a free Catholic marriage workshop called The Little Way of Marriage, hosted by our friends Sarah and Nathan Bartel. It's a practical daily habit workshop for your marriage to increase your connection, all based on the spirituality of Saint Therese of Lisieux. The free workshop is running from May 19th until June 9th, and you can head on over to littlewayofmarriage.com/WalletWin to snag your seat now. See you in the workshop. And what we didn't know, and what we truly didn't know at the time, that 1 year we were blazing our tushes out of debt, and I feel like God is almost like using us as like a prophet to others in some ways to speak out and to say, you just don't know what the future has. That first year of marriage really discovered that we were going to be in a long uphill battle with infertility. Mm-hmm. And the treatments and the expenses that were coming our way, starting from that 1 year window on, and then the adoption expenses that were coming our way, we would never have been able to shoulder any of that had we not first cleaned up and evicted debt out of our life. Yeah. The temptation is just to keep it around at a manageable, leisurely pace. You pay it down, but none of us know what God is going to ask us we don't know how he's going to ask us to follow a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And the decisions we're making today financially will either allow us to say yes freely and generously or prevent us and make us delay that. And sometimes if we say no, kind of like the rich young man in scripture, he was asked to follow Jesus. He went away sad because he wasn't ready. He couldn't do it at the moment, and he missed his chance.
Yeah. Looking at the numbers, the statistics, knowing a little bit, as much as we can, who listens or watches our show, there's a very good chance you might fall into that group, pretty large group of people who are delaying some part of your life, of your vocation, because of your debt. And we wanted to share our story to say, hey, we were in that boat. We felt it. And we've figured a way out, and we've been helping people navigate those waters ever since. And so thank you so much for listening, for watching, for whatever else you might do with us through WalletWin. We are here so that you don't have to delay the rest of your life. You don't, it's like, is that Rumpelstiltskin? One of those fairy tales.
I know the name. Was that the guy who was sleeping?
I think that's Rip Van Winkle. I think it might be one of those fairy tales. It's like, I'll give you this thing, but you must give me your firstborn, or whatever. And it's like kind of what we've been doing with our debt. We're delaying maybe the firstborn.
Here you go. Sign up for 80 grand of loans that you'll owe immediately after college.
With your smallest salary ever.
And what are they really asking?
What's being taken and what's being delayed and all that. And so if that's the spot that you find yourself in, I want you to hope. I don't want you to lose hope. I want you to have hope, to know that there are ways out. Sadly, yes, people are delaying vocations or giving up on a religious vocation, whatever it is, because of their debt. But there are also folks who get it paid off, who figure it out, who keep going through. And, God calls us, and he calls us, and all of our stories are different. And our conversion or our reversion or whatever it is, or the development of our relationship with God, maybe that was a little bit of a up and down and a kind of a fade in over time. But what I know from our lives, from the lives of the saints, from reading scripture, is even if that process might be a gradual one, when he calls, that phone's ringing. You don't get a letter in the mail saying, hey, I might ask you to do something next month. And then a text, hey, next week, I'm gonna say something to you, and I'm gonna want you to respond. It just happens.
It's in a moment. The present
and we
moment.
Don't know when that's gonna come. And we need to be ready. And by having our finances in order, especially debt out of the way, right, to get our money out of that obligation to our past, then we're financially available to say yes to God right now as he leads us into our future.
Absolutely. And if you do have that debt and you do need help getting rid of it so that you can discern religious life or enter because you know you're called, the call's there. There's options for you. I mean, even in this article, it talked about different organizations that exist to try to help people in this predicament, this exact predicament where they want to enter. I think it's, what is it?
There's a few. There's the Labouré Society. We'll have links to this article in the show notes.
Okay.
And even if you're not a subscriber to the Wall Street Journal, you will be able to, with this link, read the article. So they mentioned a couple, the Labouré Society, and then the other two have a very similar generic name, like the Vocations Fund and like the National Catholic Fund for Vocations or something.
Sure.
So
but
check the article.
There have been, generous Catholics who've put money into these funds because they want to help solve this problem.
And then the Labouré Society helps train folks to go out and fundraise to pay this off.
Yeah.
And I know some people who are actually doing that.
Oh, very good. And yeah, we've fundraised for 8 years of our life.
Yeah.
And, people want to join you in mission. So that's a very valid option. But those of you who maybe aren't called to religious life, and maybe you're called to marriage, maybe you already are married and you have a couple of kids and you feel that debt getting in the way of living the family life that you want, or you feel called to have more kids, but you just don't know how the numbers will possibly work because you're still paying on the hospital debt from 2 births ago. That happens and it's strangulating. If that is you, there aren't funds available, like the Labouré Society, very different type of thing. But that's kind of where we come in, and we want to help you. We want to give you our strategies, the exact steps to take, the fastest possible way out of this so that you can shift into designing kind of your family life around what you value most and where you feel like God is calling you to serve. And so, you might not have access to a fund, but you got access to, we're kind of the poor man's Labouré Society.
The layman's Labouré Society.
I don't know if I used that phrase right. We are good, valid teachers, and we can't wait to walk with you in your journey to saying goodbye to the debt so that you can say yes to whatever it is that God's asking you in your life. And I loved when you had shared, kind of like even in the lives of the saints, you're right. I'm forgetting of it now, but I remember like whenever you read anything about Ignatius, he talks about, he has a phrase for it, kind of like the day he got clearer. He remembers the place and the space and where he refers to it. And there's many of the saints that have similar things. And so, and sometimes that's not even revealed to you till later in life. Mother Teresa received a call within a call at age 40. Jean Jougan, brought in the first elderly person in her town to begin taking care of her. I think she was almost 50. And the Little Sisters of the Poor came out of that. Not saying that you're going to be the founder of something, but you just don't know what is going to be asked of you. And it's going to be in the present moment. And so you readying yourself right now, today, will not only help just the day-to-day life that you live. It absolutely will. It'll make that a less stressful, more pleasant experience, as good as we can have this side of heaven, right? St. Teresa of Avila calls this life a bad night at a bad inn because she had a tremendous sense of humor. So, as good as it can be, right? But then in those bigger moments, in those bigger asks, where it's going to be a defining moment for you or your family as a whole, I want you financially ready to make the leap and to say yes. And to be honest, that's why we do what we do. That we want to raise the most financially literate and generation of Catholics that the church has ever known, so that
most financially literate and generous generation.
What did I say?
You just skipped generous. That's okay.
Did I say literate twice?
You said literate and generation of.
Okay. Thank you. This is why you're here.
No worries.
I skip words. We want to raise that generation of Catholics up so that you can say yes to God's will, which is how saints are raised up in our world. And then if you've got the funds, in addition to that deep yes, well, now we can fund the new evangelization and share the gospel with the whole world so that Jesus may be known and he may be king of all. He already is, but that others may know that. He is their king and he wants to give them the gift of salvation too.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you are just like, yes, let's do this. I want to go. Oh, let's go. Let's do it. What can they do?
I want in. Well, you can keep tuning into our podcast every week. We are running our Catholicism and Money series right now. And then, we don't often do this on the podcast, but because if you're in that moment where you're like, I need to do something now, I want to offer folks a free trial into our WalletWin Academy. 2-week free trial on us. The link is WalletWin.com/St.
Start my trial.
Start my trial. Listen to him. Don't listen to me. Start my trial.
All one word.
And we'll put the link down below. Get in there. You've got a couple weeks to check it out, and you'll get access to the Catholic Money course, where we teach you everything you need to know about personal finance, the A to Z financial foundations and fundamentals, what mom and dad never taught you, but should have, how to live your call as a steward, etc. And then inside our WalletWin Academy membership, we also have different events and activities that you're invited to throughout the month that help you take what you're learning in the course and really implement it into your everyday real life. So we will have budget parties, we'll have live Q&As, we'll have challenges. You get to interact with other people in the community. You'll get to hear expert interviews or how to earn or save money in your everyday real life. And so I want you to start that trial. That's what I want you to do. And I want you to begin working your way out. There is life after debt. Actually, there's more life after debt than there is before it. And so I want to help you make that a possibility. So walletwin.com/startmytrial is where you can do just that.
We'll see you inside.
Until next time, bye for now.